With Christmas fast approaching, I'm trying to focus on finding easy woodworking projects that you can gift to friends and family. You could definitely make these for your market stall if you have one. They're pretty quick and simple builds, and there should definitely be room for some decent profit.
Taking an old pallet board here, I'm going to cut it to rough dimensions before sanding it. The dimensions are on screen. There are free plans available or a cut list. Just comment plans below. Being as this is a rustic piece, I'm sanding with 80 grit sandpaper and attacking it quite aggressively, although I'm trying to maintain some of the character in the wood. And I do this on all 4 pieces.
So we're left with 4 pieces. The shortest piece is going to be ripped down the middle. The second next piece is going to be left as it is. This piece is going to be ripped down on a third, and the longest piece is going to have about an inch, inch and a half taken off of one side. Let's set the table saw up and we'll get those cut.
Just going to quickly put the riving knife back on. Always use this if you can, guys. Kickbacks are nasty, and the riving knife definitely helps reduce the chance of those. A tip here for the newer woodworkers is only set your blade between 1/16 and 1/8 of an inch higher than your stock. This can reduce the risk of kickback and serious injury. So I'm cutting the corners off of some of these pieces, which you'll see later as the build progresses. We're basically going to make them look like picket fences.
So I'm just going to give it a very quick sand over, round all the edges over, make it look a bit distressed, and then we'll assemble.
Using an offcut along the bottom to give me a level, I'm just putting some super glue on and I'm going to brace across these. The super glue is only temporary whilst I flip it over and then put some screws in the back.
Now what we need to do is fix that to there. So we'll draw a line like so, and we use that to guide us for drilling our through holes.
So I've glued the joining parts and I'm just driving in a 35mm or 1.5" screws. When I make this next time, I will put a fresh edge on the base just to help keep the fence upright. So the last part of the build is just attaching some hooks and eyes to the top of the sign and the sign itself. That'll become evident shortly. And then we're on to the staining and the reveal.
And there we go, an absolutely beautiful welcome sign for the porch, or if you was to use an exterior varnish, you could put it outside. Took about 45 minutes, but 20 minutes of that was sanding and prepping the wood. If I just used 4x1 and cut it up, probably wouldn't have taken more than 20 minutes to put together. I've just used a light oak stain on the picket fencing and a clear lacquer or shellac on the welcome sign. I think it's got to be worth 25 to 30 pounds. So what's that, 32 to $38, something like that. Let me know what you think you would charge for something like this. I'd be really interested to see what other people think. Let's get on to the next project. I'm just going to jump in here quickly. If you're enjoying the video, please don't forget to hit the like button. And if you would, please leave us a comment, anything, just let us know what you think of the products. It really helps us within YouTube, push the video and grow the channel. Thank you very much.
I recently completed a job that left me with these pine strips of various thicknesses and lengths. I'm just sorting through for 3 that are similar in dimensions, and I'm going to cut them down on the miter saw, and I'm using a stock block to ensure consistent lengths. By allowing the blade to come to a complete stop before you lift it up, you avoid throwing the piece of wood round the shop.
We have 7 pieces at 4 inches, 4 pieces at 5 inches, and now we need 2 pieces at 9 inches.
With the 2 9-inch pieces cut, we then need to use the hole saw set to cut a circle. I use a 44mm one here. If you don't have a hole cutting set, just draw around the lid of a spray bottle or something similar size and cut it out with the bandsaw or a jigsaw. These are not the cleanest tools to use for cutting, but if you go in from both sides, you get the best chance of a reduced tear out. So I'm just shaping the 9-inch pieces here. It'll become obvious what I'm doing at the end when you see the piece. But I also put 2 6mm holes at one end of each piece. It's harder to explain how to do the assembly than it is to actually do it. I'm just using super glue, wood glue and a brad nail, and just basically follow along to the video. It's self-explanatory once you've seen what it is.
And there we go, a lovely little rustic indoor planter, shape of a wheelbarrow. Perfect gift for a gardener or somebody who loves indoor plants. Took about 10 minutes to build, and I could get that much quicker, I think, if I was to batch them. And I would sell them for £6 to £8, so maybe $8 or $9. On to the next project. So for the last project, a very straightforward one. I've got these offcuts of 4x1. They're a little bit narrower than stock, but that's fine. You can use 4x1 from the big box stores. I've got 2 bits that are almost perfect size. I've just got to square them up, and then I need a little bit off of one of these other 2 pieces, and I'll show you what we're going to do. So what we're left with is 2 pieces of 12.5 inches and 2 pieces of 1.75 inches. In the plans, they'll be metric and imperial. So what we're going to do now is we're going to come in 2.75 inches off of one side. We're going to do the same on the other side. And then we're going to find the middle. And that's just on 7 inches. So 3.5 is the middle. What we'll do We'll put a straight edge across those. Then we need to find the middle across. I think it's about 3.5 inches. 3.5 inches, so 175. We're going to put a 68mm circle, cut out a 68mm circle on each of those points. As I said, just a really quick tidy up. I'm going to put it together now with some glue and some brads, and then we'll apply a finish and I'll show you what it is. Okay then, nice and simple. We're just going to put some glue down both sides. 1.25 brads I'm going to put in, 32mm.
Again, on this project, I'm using the Morel's Light Oak Stain. I apply it with the brush and leave it a few seconds and then wipe it off.
So there we go, a little 3-pot plant holder. It's just some old offcuts of 4x1, probably about £1.50's worth of wood. The pots were 3D printed, they're about 30p each. Without the pots and plants, I'd sell that for about £8 to £10. With the pots and plants, £15, £16. So I think collectively there's some beautiful gifts here. There's also some profit to be had if you want to make them for a business to have on a market stall. For more ideas for products to make for a market stall or gifts, check out this link right here.